Hi, I'm Bryce Wheaton, and welcome to another edition of On the Couch with the Viewpoint. Today, we're joined by the Director of Learning Technologies and Client Services here at Northeast, Carla Streff. Thanks for joining us today. So tell us, Carla, what does the Director of Technology and Client Services do?
I do a lot of different things. Every day is different. So one of my primary job functions is to manage our learning management system, which is currently Sakai. I also oversee our service center and a plethora of other technologies. We help train faculty and do a lot of different things every single day.
So do you deal with students on a pretty regular basis, or are you more with faculty, or is it kind of a mixture of both?
My role has sort of changed. I deal primarily now with faculty more than students, but I do get an opportunity to work with students and see students at our service center. So my focus has shifted slightly. We used to work primarily with students, but today it's shifted more to work with faculty and the faculty's needs.
Okay, and what kind of things do students and faculty usually come to you for if they have issues with something?
Faculty, it's a lot of training opportunities. We have a lot of faculty who are doing really creative things in their classroom and maybe want to implement something new that's on the horizon that nobody has done here at Northeast before. And so they come to us looking for help, or if they are maybe doing some things in their classroom and they don't feel like the students are engaged and they want to try something new, they'll come to us and we help them. If they're maybe not very comfortable with technology and they know that it's something that they want to improve upon, they'll come to us for help. And we watch trends with students and we see a lot of the students when they come into the service center. We know what their main issues are. Part of the service center is not just troubleshooting. We joke sometimes that we're a part-time therapist. And because when they come to us with a problem, a lot of the time it's not just that technical thing. There's downtime where we're waiting for the program to load or for something to happen. And so we hear the student stories. And so it's always good to relay those stories back to faculty, because we sometimes hear it in a different light than what faculty hear that same story.
Right, so you probably have to deal with different issues year to year, as technology changes. What are some of the ways that students have changed in the way that they try to communicate with their professors and vice versa?
That is always evolving. We don't have student email at Northeast right now, and it's always been a topic of conversation is, shouldn't we have student email? And I think it's a really interesting conversation, and a good conversation to have is, should we have student email? We know students aren't checking their emails as often as we at least would like them to be checking their emails, and so what really is the best way to communicate to students? We've talked about some students prefer text notifications, but there's a line there too, because how much information do you send via text, and then once it's so much, students won't be reading the text messages. And so really it's that whole conversation about what is the best way to communicate what and when. So technologies are always evolving and changing, and so I can't say that we have an answer, we have it figured out yet, but I'd be curious to know what students' thoughts are on the subject.
Right, because I feel like there's probably got to be a gap between students and instructors when it comes to communicating like that. I feel like a lot of younger people would probably do it through text message or some type of social media, whereas if professors probably prefer email. So what kind of things have you done in order to try to, bridge that gap? One of the things that we are looking at doing in January of 2018, we're going to be switching LMSs. Our current learning management system, Sakai, we've had for 6 or 7 years now. When we implemented Sakai, it met the needs of our faculty and our students at the time, but technology, as we just talked about, is always evolving, and so Sakai doesn't currently work in a mobile environment. And when we implemented it back in 2012, mobile devices were not as common as they are now. So in 2012, we had less than 5% of our students using Sakai on a mobile device. Just 2 years later, it was up to 12%. And now in 2015, we were up to 30%. And I think what's interesting to note about that is Sakai doesn't even work well on mobile.
And so when you look at that trend, knowing that Sakai and mobile devices just don't work well, it's interesting to see that 30% of our students are using Sakai on a mobile device. And so what does that mean? Shouldn't we be looking at a platform that is much more mobile friendly? Because if it gave you a great experience as a student, you'd probably be more engaged in that class, more apt to check your communications, those types of things from faculty. So one of the things we are going to be doing is switching the LMS, and we're going to be using Canvas instead. So you as a student can determine how you want those communications from your faculty member. So you can decide if you want it via email, you can decide if you want it on your mobile device. You get to decide how you get those notifications, if you want a daily notification or a weekly notification or the moment it happens notification. So we're really giving that control to the students. That way you guys have the ability to control how it is you get the information.
Right. So it's basically sort of like the weather alert system that the school has, whereas you can choose like which way you want to get your notifications. You can do that now with your classes. Then.
Yeah, you'll be able to opt in or opt out. So if you don't want any notifications on your mobile device, or maybe you don't have a mobile device, you don't have to add it into the system. If you have a mobile device, you can add it into the system and get notifications. Even if after your faculty grades that assignment, you can get a notification on your mobile device saying the faculty graded it and go check your grades.
What do you think the technology will be like in another 10 years, and how do you think students will communicate with their professors at that time?
I wish I had a magic ball. That's a really great question, and I can't even begin to imagine. I don't think some of those technologies probably even exist today. We used to laugh 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We would get questions all the time, and we actually still get this question frequently. Can I take an online class using my mobile device without internet? And we would laugh and say, are you crazy? No, you have to have a laptop. You have to have that standard laptop or a desktop. And we've told students just a couple of years ago, have not a wireless internet, but have a wired connection. And just in that short couple of years, that's totally changed. You can take an online class on your laptop or on your tablet on wireless now. And a couple of years ago when students would call, we kind of laughed at that because it was sort of outlandish at the time. That's changing. We see trends in 2015. The trend, so before that, all students or most students had laptops and fewer had mobile devices. The trend flipped in 2015. So once 2015 hit, less students had a laptop and more students had a mobile device, whether it be a smartphone or a tablet. And so just in those couple of years, we're seeing that trend change. And we hear from students that they really want to use their mobile devices more in the classroom, but it has to be done effectively too. And so I think that's going to be a big push. Just using technology to use technology, it's not effective, it's not enough. It has to be a way to make sure we're engaging the students, and it's in a way that you want to be connected, you want to connect with your peers, you want to connect with your faculty. I fully envision us that when we switch to Canvas, when that student calls and says, can I take an online class on my smartphone without a Wi-Fi connection or just using my cellular data, we'll change our answer and we'll say absolutely. I still wouldn't recommend writing a paper on a cell phone, but I will be willing to bet that a student is going to prove me wrong and they're going to write that paper on a cell phone. So it's evolving, it's changing, and I think in 10 years, the things that exist, I mean, I have a smartwatch on, and in 10 years, maybe we'll have students taking a class on their smartwatch. And so, who knows? I think the possibilities are endless.
Thank you for joining us today. We've really learned a lot here. For On the Couch with the Viewpoint, I'm Bryce Wheaton.